personally think that this was a very good card. Now, before I continue, I just want to say two things. Firstly, if I'm sounding a little hoarse, it's because I am. I think my voice is sort of coming and going at the moment. The second thing is that if you're watching this through squaredoctagon.com, then a special greeting to you. If you're not, then go to squaredoctagon.com and watch it through the links on there instead. Let's get on with recapping. I think it was a pretty good card, and I do think that there was several major upsets on this card that may have just sunk my my predictions a little. John McDessie and Pat Audinwood was not one of them. That went sort of how I thought it would, and McDessie won. It was a unanimous decision according to this. Sherdog have also started to publish the results of each of the judges. I don't know if that's an attempt to try and call them to account in the case of a bum decision, which I don't believe there's been any controversy over any of these decisions. So perhaps it worked, I don't know. I haven't seen them do that before on their recaps, but there we are. I went for TJ Grant because I was a little bit afraid that Ricardo Almeida was just hype. Obviously I'm wrong because Ricardo Almeida won that by decision as well. Most people I know went for Matt Riddle here because he's the king of decisions. I did say that I would not be sad if he lost, and he did. Apparently this fight went down really well with the audience. I've not seen this particular fight yet, so I don't know if it deserves the tremendous applause that Sherdog say it got or not. Jesse Bongfeld and Rafael Natal, it was a draw. I've given myself and everybody that I know online on the predictions on the forum a victory there, just because it was a draw and nobody can really predict that sort of thing. But if you have gone for the right person, or indeed the wrong person, and it turns out to be a draw, well, there you are. Okay, this was the first upset of the night, and I actually dithered over this one for a very long time as to who I was going to choose. A lot of people eventually chose the same as me. We all went for Dustin Hazlett against Mark Koscheck, and it was Koscheck that won very quickly, in fact in the first, by submission. I did say that I hoped it would be a sort of ground war and a submission fight, but I was counting on Hazlett getting the win there. Both the Miller brothers won. I can't remember off the top of my head which Miller brother is the one that usually doesn't win, and which one is the one that always does win. I think, in fact, people had the opposite view of this. I think most people said that Dan Miller, the one who would always lose, or who always seems to lose, would win this one against Joe Dawkson, and he did. Though I have to say it was split decision victory. It wasn't outstanding by any sense of the imagination. And I think they went for the other one, Jim Miller, who usually wins, losing to Oliveira, and he won. And I think his was more convincing, although I think his was a decision as well. Am I right? No. His was submission. So I think people have misjudged them. I think I got the latter Miller right and the former Miller wrong. There we are. What else is there to say? Not a lot, I don't think. Thiago Alves won. We thought he would. Jim Miller won. I thought he would. Stefan Struve won. Joe Stevenson didn't win. You know, I've been a little bit harsh on Mac Danzig, exactly in the same way that I've been harsh on Stephan Bonner. I do believe that both of them should have been cut a very, very long time ago, and I'm not going to apologise for that. But what I am seeing now is that both of them are improving. Perhaps it's because they've been kept in an organisation that they shouldn't be in really anyway, and they've been able to improve. Stephan Bonner, I'm still not that impressed with, but Mac Danzig, extremely impressive in his performance against Joe Stevenson. Joe Stevenson, of course, definite contendership level, and he just got knocked out straight away, and it was one of those sort of classic highlight sort of knockouts as well. It was sort of pretty much, he was out the moment he was hit. I don't think he was caught so much. I think this was a clear case of Mac Danzig sort of setting this up, really leading him on, leading him in, and then a well-placed punch, there we are. So, I do think they should have been cut, but now they're beginning to show, at the time when the institution is looking to cut fighters, they're forced into giving it their best, and their best seems to come up to be the sort of level that you would actually have in the institution. So now what I want to see is them producing this sort of level of fight all the time, because I see there's no excuse for it now, when we can actually see that they can perform at this level. And then of course we get on to Josh Koscheck and Georges St. Pierre, and I'm as happy as anybody that Georges St. Pierre won. I'm still a little bit deflated because it still ended up being a Georges St. Pierre win by decision. I would have liked to see Josh Koscheck stopped. If ever I wanted to see Georges St. Pierre finish someone, it would have been this time. I do feel that, I think he had like a horrible eye, did Josh Koscheck, but I really felt, to justify all the stuff he'd done in the Ultimate Fighter, he really needed to be on the losing end of a submission, I think, to get what he deserved. So, I'm slightly disappointed, not in who won, but in the method. I suppose it wasn't unusual, but a lot of people I know, nobody had suggested that he would win by decision. Most people thought he would be riled up enough to actually finish Josh Koscheck. Everybody was hoping, for some RNC or maybe an armbar or something like that. Something outstanding, something that Koscheck, couldn't refute. And we didn't get it, to be honest. Overall, a good card, I think. Were a couple of upsets and that sort of minor disappointment for those who got into this season of Tough and wanted to see Josh Koscheck, humbled as much as a fighter can possibly be. I suppose those who are fans would just say that, he's at that level now, but I don't know, because Georges St. Pierre doesn't seem capable of finishing people anymore. And I thought, Josh Koscheck, of all people, has given George the motivation to do that if he were able. There we are. And now I think that's the last UFC for this year. We just had the last WEC, and then I think this month is pretty much complete.